Hello everybody, this is SeetherCord here, and welcome to my newest video for you guys today. For today's video, we're going to be discussing of my thoughts on whether or not the furry fandom or people involved with the furry community are more so protected from the virus than others. Now, to give you guys kind of an update of where I am as of right now when it comes to this whole situation of me getting back home, being an American expat during this whole pandemic, I recently got myself a flight booked directly back to the United States from Paraguay set for July 7th, and I should be back home at my house by July 8th. To give you guys a little bit of an update of where the current stance of the pandemic is in the country of Paraguay that I'm in right now, I want to say that for the most part, we're doing a good job. We're currently in the last phase before fully reopening the economy right here, and we did a really good job to where, even though it's a country of 7 million people, we've only had 1,700 confirmed cases, only 13 deaths, and over 1,000 have recovered, to where we now have just under 700 active cases within the whole country. Now, I would say that we're very fortunate for that to happen here because outside of Paraguay and Uruguay, every other major South American country has been heavily affected by the virus, getting to 50,000 plus confirmed cases. So again, because Paraguay handled it so well, we were able to just get only like less than 2,000 confirmed cases in the whole country and avoided a lot of death and a lot of pain due to this whole pandemic. Now, however, also because of the fact that I spent a little bit of time in Brazil while I've been here, both Brazil and the United States have been known around the entire world as the two most affected countries in the world by this whole situation, with the United States having over 2.5 million confirmed cases and Brazil having over 1 million confirmed cases. Now, I definitely know that it's very scary for a lot of people right now seeing the cases number rise, and we've now gotten to where we're having at least 40,000 confirmed cases as of right now within the United States. And again, that mostly has to do with the fact that the amount of testing that we should be doing, we've now increased it to where it's about 600,000 or 700,000 tests a day. So again, more tests mean more cases. So it does look scary, but that, honest to God, is the reality. And after doing some math and crunching the numbers, I wouldn't be surprised if we could get into the possibly tens of millions of confirmed cases. But again, it will end. I'm very happy that the death rate is definitely lowering in virtually all the countries we're seeing that gets affected by this virus. So even with the huge amount of cases, again, it's going to affect a big portion of the world, but still we're going to see definitely a lowering in death rate with the help of just time going by. So that's the most important thing to know right now. So again, if you're living in a really heavily affected country by the virus, just know that it will eventually end. We are getting to a process of where every country will eventually get past this. Now, before we get into the topic of furries and everything, I want to give you guys my personal advice for all of you, just to remind everyone that if you're currently living in an area that is heavily affected by this pandemic and still currently is, I would definitely tell you guys to continue to stay home, only leave the house when you absolutely have to, make sure you wear a mask when you go out to get your essential stuff done, definitely follow what your local government is telling you to do about the virus, don't break the rules and everything, and just remember to be safe. Now, if you are living in an area where it's now more of a safe zone, where either the virus never really made it to your area or it has pretty much taken its course in your area, now it's calmed down, I would still tell you guys to please, like when you leave the house, make sure you wear a face mask, make sure you have hand sanitizer and lotions and everything, wash your hands. I know that it was very scarce to get access to hand sanitizer back then, but now they've definitely produced way more to where now in most places it's easily accessible. Make sure you get enough sleep, make sure you get your vitamin D in, get some sunshine outside if you can, make sure you drink your orange juice to keep your immune system up, to keep yourself strong, and make sure you don't spread your bodily fluids and everything. Also, make sure to social distance in public, keep at least a 6-foot distance between each person when you're going out to do what you have to do. And also make sure you avoid large crowds as best as you can. Like, do not get involved with that. And also make sure to protect the elderly, be especially careful around people who are in the elderly section of the population, and also be careful around people who are immunodeficient, because those people are more susceptible to die from this disease. So make sure that you guys just stay careful and everything. It's just common sense. Now, to get into the actual furry aspect of this video, we need to discuss how the furry fandom itself has been affected by this whole pandemic. Now, if you guys didn't know, the furry fandom has definitely had to deal with a lot of conventions being canceled. I don't even know of one major furry convention right now that has been able to say that, hey, we're reopening yet, because we haven't, because we got to be safe. Maybe there's been some meetups that are being able to, hopefully in safe areas, that are still going to go on. I hope in areas where the virus is still rampant that they refrain from having these meetups, just saying, but that might still be able to keep the furry fan going in terms of the social aspect. Now, in other ways, staying at home, working on your fursuits, and also working on your art as a furry or doing whatever kind of furry stuff online can definitely help build the furry community as in more of an online presence than an IRL presence. One little funny thing that actually happened in Peru as of recently was a bunch of people got arrested, including what the NBC News called them as furries, even though they were more so wearing general like mascot costumes and everything to celebrate a Mother's Day parade. And like everyone there got arrested because they broke the social distancing rules. But yeah, I just found that to be an interesting thing to note that happened, which again, if you don't know where Peru is, that's a country in South America. And basically just a ton of quote unquote furries got arrested, along with Super Mario. Definitely give that video a check out at some point. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. I still don't know why the hell I use that analogy. It's really weird, the meat and potatoes. I guess it's just like the main course of the video, I guess, whatever. And that topic is discussing how safe are furries from the you-know-what problem. Now, a reason as to why I thought for a video idea why furries could possibly be more safe from the virus than normal people is the fact that we have fursuits, which are basically the equivalent to face masks to an extent. Because again, it keeps your bodily fluids in check in yourself, it keeps your skin and everything protected and gives you at least somewhat of a distance from other people and keeps other people's bacteria and germs off of you. So quickly for this video, we're going to discuss both the pros and the cons of being a furry in terms of keeping yourself safe from what's going on right now in the world. Now let's first discuss the pros of being a furry throughout this pandemic. The first pro is that the fact that you're able to, in your fursuit, keep your bodily fluids away from most people. Now, to be fair, if you want to get on more of the promiscuous and adult side of things, be at conventions, some furries may, however, share their bodily fluids in some ways with people who interact with them in their fursuit. Now, the reason that might be is because there's been kind of a stereotype that be it that furries don't keep their suits clean that often, which if you go to a furry convention, you will definitely know that some fursuits definitely have a stink, be it intentional or not. Again, that comes with some people might having like musk fetishes or something like that, enjoying the bad smell. But you know, definitely like if you're going to fursuit during this whole situation going on in the world, wash your suit. Just wash your suit, dude. Come on. It's okay if you have a thing for it and everything. Just wash it as of right now. This is like the one time I would ask, just make sure you wash it. But again, I would overall say that this is a pro because again, the fursuit itself keeps you from direct contact with other people. Another pro to this is actually something I mentioned earlier in this video, and that is the fact that furries typically associate with themselves online, so that way they can stay home for the most part. Again, we're seeing a lot of the time online, be it through YouTube or Twitter or social media or whatever. A lot of furries have helped grow this community by doing a lot of stuff online, which has definitely helped us get to one of the highest points of popularity for this community. And definitely with the whole situation of being told to stay home, social distance and everything, don't go out when you don't need to, you can definitely see that a lot of furries right now are spending a lot of time working on their YouTube videos, aka moi. We also see a lot of furries that are fursuit makers or artists that are spending a lot of time working on their commissions, getting up on to track with their queues and getting their commissions finally done for people because we're stuck at home. And also fursuit makers that are definitely getting time done to get their fursuit commissions done and ship it out for people. Now again, the internet is definitely a huge strong point for the furry community because it's a creative outlet for a lot of people. And a lot of furries can use this time right now to just stay home and take that boredom as stuck at home and just use it on the internet to help them, like, you know, further themselves to let the time pass until this pandemic's over. Now, the final pro to this whole situation with being involved with this pandemic is more kind of the obvious things, is that the fact that we have a lot of young people within the furry community, and with the fact that many furries tend to be very young, they tend to have stronger immune systems. And we are definitely seeing, because of the fact that we have to consider the elderly population and keep them safe, because there's not that many furries that are typically over the age of 35 or so, it's very rare to see someone over the age of 35 being involved with the community, that they are the ones that are at most of risk of getting killed by this problem. So definitely, like, if you are a furry, you'd be like, oh, I'm a furry, I should be safe from the virus, yay! So again, those are the three main pros for being a furry throughout this whole situation. Now let's get into the three main cons I found from being a furry throughout the pandemic. The first con is the fact that furries can be very grabby, so social distance can definitely be hard. I know that when you're in your fursuit and everything, you can definitely be somebody who wants to like go and hug and be able to like, you know, like high five and everything and take pictures with others and all. But again, like when you're in a fursuit at a convention or you're just fursuiting outside, people might want to take your picture. You still have to remember you got a social distance and everything. So even if you got the fursuit and all, it definitely being a pro for having the direct contact and everything be separated. However, you also got to consider the 6-foot distance. So again, like hugging and everything will definitely be an issue and definitely be a con towards furries, because a lot of furries love to be like physically interactive with each other. Now, another thing to add on to that con with furries being very into direct contact, and that we now have to get into the more adult side of things, because a lot of furries do tend to enjoy sleeping around or having intimate moments with other furries. So again, you got to be careful with who you're doing things with, making sure that you are doing this with the right person and making sure that they are safe from the virus or whatever other thing they might have. So that's another thing to definitely consider. So that is definitely the one major con I find directly from this whole situation going on in the world right now and being a furry. The second con I see to being a furry throughout the whole pandemic is the fact that a lot of furries vape. Now again, I'm not saying that you're a bad person if you vape or if you smoke or whatever. People are allowed to do stuff that destroys their bodies all the time. And I know that vaping is not as bad as regular smoking, but still, I don't have any facts to back it up or any research articles. But from what I've personally gathered, just inhaling a lot of smoke or any kind of like substance into your lungs and everything, it's just not good for you. And definitely with the fact that the pandemic involves the things that directly affect people the most if they catch this virus is having respiratory issues, and that can put you at a huge risk. And definitely because if you see videos of furry conventions, or if you go to one or you go to a meetup and everything, and also consider the fact that a lot of furries are very young, you will see that definitely a lot of furries vape. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of furries had a lot of inner respiratory problems before this whole pandemic started. So that could definitely be a downside. Now, the final downside that typically comes with being a furry throughout the pandemic is the fact that it's not all of furries, but you can definitely see that quite a bit of furries tend to be a little bit heavier, and that's shown to be a contribution to being at a higher risk of death if you catch you know what. So that is also the final thing to consider really when it comes to the personal like physical size of people having an impact on how you respond to the virus. And definitely with a lot of furries having a larger frame and build and everything, that can also contribute to having a higher mortality risk rate. So that pretty much describes all the pros and all of the cons of being a furry throughout the pandemic and everything. Again, I would say one of the strongest points to being a furry throughout this pandemic is the fact that wearing the fursuit itself can keep you out of literally direct contact with people, so that way you don't share the bodily fluids and everything. And then also another strong suit is the fact that a lot of furries are very introverted. They spend a lot of time at home or online, so that way you can stay home and not be tempted to go out and have possibly an interaction that could get you caught with the disease. But also we have to consider the cons of being a furry, which again are the fact that a lot of furries can be very grabby or a little bit too intimate at times, and also maybe considering the choices that a lot of furries make when it comes to their physical well-being that can definitely have a negative impact if they caught the virus. The last thing I really want to describe before I end off this video for you guys today is that I want to really kind of picture or imagine what conventions are going to be like for the furry community once this whole situation is over, or once it's kind of gotten the safe word to be able to go back to doing conventions. Are furries and fursuiters going to have like a social distancing rule? Are there going to be certain rules when it comes to taking photos? Is there going to be rules towards like temperature checking at these communities? Heck, that can definitely be an issue if you drive halfway across the country to get to a certain event, and you have to deal with possibly getting rejected at the door if you have a temperature over 100 or something. Heck, there could also be things about how like maybe it might be mandatory that if a fursuiter wants to attend an event, they're going to have to be required to do a lot of intense fursuit cleaning to make sure there's no substances or any possible germs that could possibly spread the virus that might be on their fursuits. But anyways, that's going to pretty much wrap up this video for you guys today. How do you guys feel about my idea of whether or not furries are more likely to be safe from the virus or not? Do you guys think that furries are safe for the most part? Do you guys think that furries are not safe? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you enjoy my content and want to further help out my channel, please consider donating to me on Patreon as well as my coffee. Make sure you smash that like button, turn on that notification bell, and subscribing all together. Make sure you also check out my main gaming channel known as SeetherCord Games and my no commentary gaming gaming channel known as Seether Chills. All that will be linked down in the description down below. Anyways, guys, remember to stay safe, wash your hands, social distance, and stay home for the most part. And remember that eventually this whole situation will be over. It's just going to take some more time. Again, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I've been SeetherCord, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, everyone. Let's go and see. Yes, I see what you mean. Get it? Okay, I'm gonna shut up.